Ding 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 ding.
Fubble time.
I never know what note to hit first.
Wait a minute.
That was the lowest I've done. Okay. Hi, my name is Teresa Tomey.
And I'm Patrick Ziegler.
And we are
Fubble Entertainment.
And this is
Fubble time.
All right.
Yay. So what were you saying? Your voice went too low?
I started very low. Ding, 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 ding. It's not, I'll admit, I never rehearse.
Really? I'm going to date myself and say you did a little Brenda Vaccaro.
There you go. Brenda Vaccaro. Hey, everybody. It's January 20th.
Yeah, nothing's happening today, so I'm sure everybody's tuning into Fubble time.
We know you're here. Don't stay with us.
We do have people tuning in. Hi. I was going to say, if you're here, let us know and where you're from.
Let us know who you are, where you're from. We're so excited. I'm going to get into announcing and introducing our talent tonight. We've been doing these themes that we've started to do, and this month our theme is online content creators. And this person, I don't think we'll find out, didn't set out to be an online content creator, but when the pandemic hit, she sure figured out how to do it and fast because she wasn't able to execute her craft. I'm going to let you know a little bit here about Francesca Amari. She was nominated as Best Jazz Vocalist in 2018 and 2020 at the Coachella Valley Music Awards. She is an award-winning, versatile singer cabaret artist from Palm Springs. She's performed at top-rated cabaret clubs from New York to Hollywood. She's been at Birdland Jazz Club, the Metropolitan Room, the Triad, the 92nd Street Y. Patrick and I saw a show there, not Francesca's, unfortunately, but Lucy Arnaz's, so that was cool. The Gardenia, so many clubs. She's been in San Diego, the Purple Room in Palm Springs. She gets rave reviews. She tours the country with a great show. I've seen her perform this, her critically acclaimed Gilda Radner tribute.
So fun.
I know, so fun. She has studied with many cabaret luminaries, including Karen Mason, Marilyn May, Sam Harris, so many others, locally, and locally we mean Palm Springs. Francesca performed, performs weekly at the Copa nightclub. I'm not sure how much performing she's doing these days besides online. We'll ask her about that. She has appeared in Midlife, the Crisis musical. She has won rave reviews from the Desert Theater League. She received the award for Best Professional Actress as Reno Sweeney in Palm Canyon's Theater's Anything Goes. She has done so many things. Other theater credits include Pump Boys and Dinettes. I don't know if she did that outside of Grand Rapids, but I know she did that in Grand Rapids. Taffeta's Beehive. I think those are all Grand Rapids shows.
I loved Beehive.
So good. So many good shows. She is also, on top of all that, turn right for the interesting career thing that she also does. She's an audiobook director. She has also been teaching and directing children's theater for 30 years. And we are so excited to have this old friend, long-standing friend with us tonight, Francesca Amari.
Yay!
Oh, is right.
No.
30 years, like, oh my God, have I been doing something that long?
And that we've known you for that long.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Well, Francesca, we have people chiming in. Marty Pospeach is here.
Hi, Marty Pospeach.
Says hi, and our regular Jeannie is here. We missed you last week, Jeannie. I'm not sure if you were there or not. You did say hi, but Jeannie's here. And then Jan Frost is here, who says, love Fubble time. Jan Frost is a friend of mine down here in Naples, Florida. So is Jeannie.
The amazing internet or power of this, that you're in Florida, I'm in California. Teresa, you're in Michigan right now, right?
I am, hence the bird. I'm actually in Florida right now. We're
in Florida.
Yeah. So.
So welcome. It's such a thrill to have you.
It's cold here, 63. I just checked.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's been cold. It's been cold here too. It's been like in the morning 40s and 50s, which is loving it. People on vacation. Well, there's not many people on vacation, which is interesting. But Francesca, I am thrilled that you're here. Teresa and I are thrilled that you're here. That I can remember you singing Miss Bird. Didn't you sing Miss Bird?
I did for Actors Theater. It was like If They'd Only Let Me.
Yes.
I sing that periodically. It's a fun song.
I fell in love with your voice at that moment, and then you were in Beehive, which was amazing.
You were into the woods too, right?
I was Rapunzel. We were just talking about that.
Oh my gosh!
Didn't you do the?
Yes, and that's the tune. I can't even go that high anymore.
Yeah, and I want to hear Teresa do it again for the singer.
No.
But we always start our interviews with this one question that is, where, when, how do you remember getting bitten by the entertainment bug?
Oh, yeah. It was in elementary. It was in elementary school, I'm sure. You know, from the time I was just wee high, I started doing stuff at school. I was a sugar plum fairy in some production in elementary school in Battle Creek, Michigan. And then I'm sure this is probably the moment that I was like, in 5th grade, and I'm going to date myself, but remember there was a TV show called This Is Your Life?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So we did a production of This Is Your Life, Michigan, where we did all these facts and I was Michigan. So I got to wear a box with a big mitten on it.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm sure
how creative and fun.
Oh yeah, it was really fun.
And so because like Teresa talks about the first time that she made somebody laugh being Betsy Ross. I remember walking on stage in 3rd grade. I was in the high school production of Carousel, literally felt butterflies come up my stomach when I heard the audience. What do you remember that feeling?
You know, I don't know if I remember a specific feeling. I was in this, we had this community-wide choir in 4th and 5th grade called the Master Singers, where just a few students from each elementary school got to be in it. And I was in that. And we would go to nursing homes.
Oh.
And I just remember, even back then, and I still do now, like getting all choked up. Verklempt is the word, but I didn't know that then, you know, singing and seeing these people just so happy to see these kids. And I think that was probably like, what I'm doing is impacting other people.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so then you ended up, I mean, at some point you decided you wanted to do this on the regular. Like, when did you?
Yeah. You know, I've always sung, and I did theater, and then I got a really small music scholarship to Central Michigan University. And my first year I was in classes, and I had always just been the singer. I never played an instrument. I never took classes. I never studied. So I was in classes at CMU with, you know, students who had been playing instruments forever. And I didn't know how to read music. I knew like every good boy does fine. And I had to think really long and hard about, why am I doing this? Because I want to sing. And I realized I could sing whether or not I had a degree in music, because I didn't really want to teach music. And I ended up changing my major and minor, and I minored in music. And then I took my career sort of took off doing PR and nonprofit public relations. And when I moved to Grand Rapids a couple of years in, I was just like, I went like 3 years without singing. And no theater, no singing. And it's like, oh my God, this is, you know, it's not who I am. So in Grand Rapids, I was like, I started going to see theater, and then I did my first show at Civic Theater. And after that, it's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I sort of shifted gears in the mid 90s and started doing freelance everything. So I sort of combined everything I was doing and did music and not audiobooks till later, but yeah. So it was the 90s.
So in the 90s, you started to make a career out of it.
Yeah.
I do remember you being one of the first people who kind of in the theater community who stepped out, and all of a sudden it's like you and Edie and Mary. Maybe this sounds like fun. There was like a core group of you, and it was kind of like, oh, you can do this? Like you can do it not as just a volunteer. I mean, it was very inspirational, I think.
It's a big patchwork of things. But, you know, I also realized I am just under 5 feet tall and I don't look like an ingenue. I used to sing higher, but I would audition for shows and I wouldn't get cast. Even though I know I could sing the parts, but I didn't necessarily look the part, or I was too short, or I just was a hard fit at the beginning. And so pretty early, I just thought, you know what? I want to just sing. So that's like I created Boogie Woogie Babies. I just started thinking I got to create my own thing to do the music I want to do, sing the songs I want to sing. And then I won't have to depend on casting, even though it's nice to get cast in shows.
Well, I love that I love my friend Molly says, my size, LOL. So you're the same size. I love that you did that you know, decided to do something beyond waiting for somebody else to cast you, right? You mentioned Birdland, and our regular friend who watches also says, have you played Birdland in NYC? That's in my neighborhood.
I have. I actually have done a couple things. Well, I've gone to Cast Party several times when I'm there.
Oh, fun.
Monday nights where you get to go and sing, you know, all these great people. And then I've always loved, oh my God, Christine Lavin, the folk singer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've heard her sing. I love her. I have her albums. And she did this workshop in Chicago, probably in the early 2000s. And it was a songwriting workshop. I do not write music. I don't even consider, you know, I never even think about that. But I'm like, I just want to meet her. So I took it. And it was just this really cool workshop. And she's just the most amazing woman. And she was working on this song that she had written with, oh my God, I'm having brain farts. He wrote Good Morning Heartache, Irving.
Berlin.
Good morning, heartache.
No, good morning, heartache. Here we go again.
Okay.
Irving.
Thank you for singing it rather than Teresa.
Anyway, they wrote this political song.
Oh, I see.
He was debuting it, and we did a concert. All the people in the class, we got to sing backup on her album.
Oh, cool.
And then she did the debut of her album in New York at Birdland. So whoever could go to New York went to New York and sang. And I sang right next to, I've got to look up Irv's name. So I got to sing at Birdland to debut her album.
That's so great.
And a group of people, but it was just like, if you can come to New York, come and you'll be. And so I'm on her album, and I was played at Birdland.
Oh my gosh. Birdland just did a big fundraiser.
I
don't
know.
if you saw that. And they raised the money like within boom. Yeah.
That's such a great story on so many levels. That one, you showed up just to be a fan, like put yourself in that situation, and then to have all those gifts come out of it. Oh. And I couldn't figure out how you were going to get from Christine Lavin to Birdland. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's such a great story. And before we get past this comment, I do know I need to say it, but Fred Stella says, odd, in all those illustrious credits listed, conspicuously absent was any mention of any affiliation with the Grand Rapids Singing Telegram.
Sorry, Fred. I was a bad one, though. I don't think I was a very good singing telegram.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really shy. I'm actually really introverted. Except for
a lot of performers are.
When I set foot on stage, then I feel like I'm myself. It's like, oh yeah. And so with singing telegrams, I sort of forced myself to do things, but it was never a very comfortable, like, show up at a business and say, here, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm going to sing a song. I wasn't very good at it. So I don't know how to do it for very long.
I'm the same way. I'm a introvert that expresses as an extrovert. A lot of people think that. And Fred had talked to me about doing that. I was like, I can't.
Patrick used to say to me, if you ever do a singing telegram to me where he's the center of attention, he's like, I will never, ever, ever talk to you again. And can you put up what Fred just wrote, Patrick? And Martin.
She got great reviews. Martin, how do you pronounce that? Weich, do you think?
Weich is here. Thank you, Martin, for joining us. So
he summed up your story about taking that class and
I
into
have to
Berlin.
say though, I remember when I first moved to Grand Rapids, I worked for the United Way, and we used to hang out there was that bar off of Fuller, right off of the highway. I don't remember what it was called. It was
Snug Harbor?
But I remember seeing Fred Stella come in and do a singing telegram in that bar. That was like one of my first memories.
You saw Fred Stella do it?
Yeah.
You know what? And Fred is right. This is where I'm good. But Patrick did work the desk at the Graham. I did. And Marty Posbeach said Roseanne Steffens was wonderful. Roseanne did it as well. Yeah.
She did grams.
We could talk about Grand Rapids stuff forever, but then you made your way to Palm Springs, and Fred says it's the elbow room. Is that
the elbow room?
Okay. I love it.
Something else before that.
Yeah.
So how did you go anywhere from Grand Rapids before Palm Springs? I feel like you did.
Yeah, I moved to San Diego.
That's right.
It was like a bait and switch because I moved to California to be with my boyfriend. Well, long story. I knew this guy in high school. We went to rival high schools in Battle Creek, Michigan. We lost touch for 30 years. When Facebook hit, we found each other on Facebook. I went to Mesa, Arizona to do a musical, and he was living in San Diego. We hadn't seen each other, and he drove to see my show, and we fell in love. So within 5 months, I'm like, do you want to move here or do you want me to move to Michigan? I'm like, I'll move to California. So I moved to San Diego. And then within a month, Dan got a different job, and we ended up living in just north of San Diego in Temecula, Murrieta.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up in Palm Springs.
So you ended up in Palm Springs. So did you do your audiobook career from Temecula, or did you pick that up in Palm Springs?
Well, I started doing that in Grand Rapids with Brilliance Audio. So luckily, when I moved to California, they said, "Oh, we can still use you in California." So I was still working for Brilliance, but going into LA. So really, when we were in Temecula, Murrieta, and our lease was up after the first year, it was like, okay, do we move to San Diego, LA area, or Palm Springs? And I had been going to Palm Springs more. So I thought, well, the commute's going to be the same. So we ended up living in Palm Springs, which was a really great choice.
I'm going back to your website because I love this quote that you have up. If Francesca Amari isn't a household name in your home, then you haven't yet discovered the best music theater and magic that Palm Springs has to offer.
Yeah, that's a really lovely woman named DJ Cox who has followed me, and she reviews stuff, and she's just always so generous and so kind.
You have got such an amazing career there until
Yeah.
So, I mean, what has that journey been like for you? Like,
it's been, my last gig, it was like March 15th, I think. And it was one of those, are you going to do it? Are you not? And we didn't, nobody knew how serious any of this was. And they finally said, we're going to do it. And then after that, everything got canceled. And I went, I think maybe a week and I had been performing weekly. And I was like, oh, I have got a week. So the last week of March, I think it was the last week of March, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to sit here at my computer and turn on Facebook Live and sing. So I started. And then I was telling Patrick and Teresa that my good friend from Grand Rapids, Patrick Foley, loved that I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I'm just going to do it. I'm going to sing, and I'm going to take my little hour where I normally do happy hour shows. And so Patrick and he knows audio stuff, and he worked with me, and he sent me some gear. And so I started doing it from my desktop for a month, I think, maybe 2 months, maybe a month and a half. And then my friend Wayne Abravanel, who plays the piano for me a lot, decided he felt safe enough for me to come into his home because we were both being very, very safe. So about 2 months in, then I started going to Wayne's house, and we started doing music with Wayne playing. So it's just it's become it is the highlight of our week. And I audience members, it's the highlight of their week because we can't go out. And so it's it's an hour away from the mess, and our lives have been sort of messy, not only with the pandemic, it's just been an ugly time.
Yeah.
And it's a happy hour show, so I tell really stupid jokes, and I own up to the fact that they're stupid. And, you know, we have like a little joke theme, like your little Fubble entertainment theme. It's joke time with Francesca, whether people want it or not. And we have our cocktails. This is water. But we have our cocktails, and people tell me what they're drinking, and they send in requests. Marty Pottspeech is always sending me in requests. So it's just become this really fun hour of being together with people. And
what is your favorite? My brother's here. Yay. I think this is my brother's first time. I love that. He's not on Facebook very much, but he says, how about a Grand Rapids performance soon? Oh, well, that's going to be a while.
Virtually, anybody can tune in. I actually get a lot of Grand Rapids people.
Well, you can tune. That's what I was going to say. What is, so where on Facebook are you?
Well, it's my Facebook homepage, Francesca Amari.
It is. Okay.
So it's Facebook Live, and it's called Cocktails and Cabaret.
Right.
So
Okay.
My time, 4:30, so which is perfect cocktail time. For you guys, it's 7:30. 4:30.
It's right before our show, so we can't get.
I know.
It's right after we started. Yeah.
Right.
So we can drink after. Yeah.
I even have people who submit jokes to me to tell. Like, it's just like I have a couple people who send me jokes, and then I ruin them.
Well, everybody can find all this info at francescaamari.com, right?
Yeah. The calendar that's pretty empty.
Well, and I think, and Marty says he's always with you, but Marty, I think you need to join us for a half hour first, and then go over to Francesca.
And my brother says his house is available, just in case you want to
do private parties. I can't. I usually get back to Michigan at least once a year.
Yeah.
I was really tempted to go in September because my mother-in-law, Dan's mother, turned 90, and he drove his motorcycle, and I was going to fly, and I had my hand on the, buying my ticket. And then I just thought, I just don't feel safe to get on an airplane, so, but hopefully this summer, come hell or high water, maybe we'll drive home.
I love that.
Didn't you do some shows in town?
Oh, yeah. Summer before, I did like a 2-week tour with Mary Rademacher and Mark Caney, and we did a whole, like all the coastal cities. We did a jazz tour.
Because you could still perform outside. Now, Palm Springs is too cold to even perform outside right now, right?
Right now, their entertainment is not permitted. There are places.
Oh, yeah, that's right. California has different laws. I'm in Florida. I could have a house party right now.
I know, it's crazy.
Yep, you sure can.
Dining. We have no restaurants are open. You can do takeout. That's it. But
oh God, we drove by the Applebee's the other night. There were about 7,000 cars in the parking lot. Oh boy.
Good to know. I got a coupon for Christmas. I'm putting up your. Oh shoot! I didn't mean to do that. I'm putting up your Facebook page so people can easily click on that.
Yeah, and you don't have to be on Facebook because it's Facebook has done this thing where if you set the event to public, then anybody with the link, which is just facebook.com Francesca Amari, they can see, like yours too. They can see the live,
right?
Even if you're not friends or they don't have a Facebook account.
Yeah.
So how much have you had to learn about all of this stuff? And do you have a tip jar or anything like that? Are you able to?
We don't push it. It's been one of those things where a lot of why I do it is just so that I can feel fulfilled as a human being, because I feel like one of the purposes that I am on this planet is to sing. Like I don't feel like myself. And so, it's nice when we get tips, and we do get tips, which is really nice. So we put a tip jar up. I wish I had my goblet. I should have brought it. I had this a tip jar I bought at the dollar store, and it's like this big brandy snifter,
Right.
Well, we don't need it, so I just drink out of it every week. So
You're like Sabrina.
Put it in my face, and I just drink out of it in between.
You're like Serena on Bewitched. Samantha's sister or cousin. I think it was cousin, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you two specific things around your career.
Go like this real quick.
Okay.
Remember, that's for Patrick to remember to ask the questions he wants to ask you, because Michael Ziegler has a joke. It starts, did you hear the one
I don't think it's a joke. but it's about
I'm
what
gonna
happened.
write it down.
Did you hear the one about the Catholic, the teacher, and the woman who went to the White House?
No.
Not a joke.
No, tell her.
I think we heard about that today, right?
Oh, we've heard about today.
They were all there today.
Yes.
Yes.
The Catholic, the doctor, and the yes. So anyway, Patrick.
Teacher,
sorry.
doctor, yeah. Well, my brother's a teacher, so
Yeah,
he loves
I
that.
know, very cool.
A couple things that came to mind is just your process. I want to talk a little bit about your directing of books, audiobooks. Are you still doing that? And what is the process? Because Teresa's husband, Fred, does that as well. And also you worked with a mutual friend of ours, Lucy Arnaz, on doing, which she voiced her mother's book, which is amazing, which her mother's book didn't get published until after she passed.
Right.
But then also you directed her father's book. And I don't remember the gentleman's name that did it, but he's got an awesome voice.
Pablo. He's beautiful.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Juan Pablo.
I'm like, wasn't he available for the movie?
What?
I was like, wasn't he available for the movie?
I don't know. It was beautiful. It was beautifully read by him. And it's so funny because we did his first, and Lucy had never read an audiobook, so she wanted to be in the studio the whole time. And I was like, oh my God, I have to work on this book with Lucy sitting right there. And normally as the director, you sort of like make the ultimate decisions about things. And I just would go, I don't know, Lucy.
Would you really?
And she would say, well, my mother did this. And it was just, I'm sure the process took like twice as long because she would just say, well, my mom, and we would stop and she would tell Juan Pablo about her dad or how he might say something. And I don't know those things. So it was really wonderful to have.
That's fantastic.
Lucy and her expertise.
Yeah.
I've been really lucky because I've worked with some really amazing, like I've worked with Joe Mantegna.
Oh.
It's so funny. I like to say this, even though the job of an audiobook director is really just sort of a hand-holding job. But I directed William Friedkin reading his own autobiography. This great director. And I'm in the, the booth with the engineer going, oh my God, I'm sitting here listening to William Friedkin, and he'll stop and ask me a question.
Directing the director. I love that.
Very surreal.
Well, I love that you do that as well, along with your cabaret career.
Yeah.
And then you also, which is very, very fun before the lockdown, you started doing the radio shows with Greg Oppenheimer, right?
Well, I've been working we did 5 years. I think the last 5 years, we did a fundraiser for one of the Palm Springs based theater company called Des Art Performs. And they decided to do this one night old time radio show. And they brought Greg in to direct, and then all these different stars who I also got to meet. So they
name a couple because it's totally our childhood.
Carol Cook, Miriam Ross,
Gavin MacLeod.
Yes, Gavin, right? Joyce Bulifant, just all these. I worked with Fred Willard last year.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah, and each show, 5 years in a row, and each night of those shows we do like 3. So they'd have 3 different radio dramas. And then I was with a trio, and we would do all the commercials, like they wrote local jingles and we would sing. And then last year with Fred Willard, they needed another actress. And so I got to actually be in one of the radio shows. So really
Isn't
cool.
that fun?
It's so funny. Patrick was like, I should have promoted Francesca to the Lucy people. He's got his whole Lucy people community. And now I understand really why. I mean, that's
they would be loving that moment. So I'll have to figure out a way to share that with them. Teresa, you had something else, didn't you?
I did. I wanted to know one of the things in your biography. I wanted to hear about your near and dear to our hearts is Gilda's Club Grand Rapids, and all of the work that in the name of Gilda that's taken place. And certainly I saw you perform her show, and you continue to perform it. So I would like you to talk about what inspired you to do that work to begin with.
I don't know. In entertainment, it's hard to not feel self-serving. But so from the moment Gilda Radner hit big time, she's from Detroit. I'm from Battle Creek. And so it was hard as Michiganders not to feel like, oh my God, that she's from our state. So there was that. And then I just, people from the time I've been in high school and she became famous have always thought I looked like her. Like, whole life. And now I have blonde hair, so it's harder to see sometimes. But when I've always had big, wide, dark hair. And so my whole life, people had always compared me to Gilda Radner. And I just also fell in love with her as a human being. And then I read her autobiography when she was getting sick. And she's just always been like this personal idol. I have a cutout book of hers. And so then I started doing this show called Midlife, the Crisis Musical. And almost every night, people, after, you'd go to greet the audience. I don't know what I was doing on stage, but I must have been doing something. And I don't know if it was how I looked or what I was doing, but every single night for this like 12-week run, people would say, you remind me so much of Gilda Radner. And it was just
oh my gosh.
Every night. And at that point, that's when the Gilda's Club was just planning their first
Laugh Fest.
Gilda's Laugh Fest. So I talked with them and they said, they gave me a slot in the show. And so I started working on this. So that was like the fall before Laugh Fest. I started working on this program, a cabaret show, because I don't impersonate her. I sing about her and I tell stories about her. And they all come from her book or Ellen Zweibel's book. So it was just a joy to put together. And I worked with Andrea Marcovici, who's this huge cabaret icon. And we just really made it sort of like a musical biography of her. And it's just been really, so I first did it in 2011. And then since then, I don't perform it often, but a few times a year, I've gotten to go to different venues. I'm actually doing a live stream of it on February 11th.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. The producer who used to run the Metropolitan Room in New York is now doing live streams called Metropolitan Zoom. And so I'm doing it from Metropolitan Zoom.
So can we find out that information on your Facebook?
Yeah.
February what?
February 11th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Well, 6 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. East Coast time.
So you'll do it from your living room.
I'm going to do it from a venue that I work at a lot called PS Underground. It's this really cool place. And it's just sitting there empty and they have lovely lights and sound. So it's just going to be me on the stage with Wayne at the piano and Michael Feetsum, who runs PS Underground, running the lights and sound. And I've added projections behind me that I didn't used to have when I did it in Grand Rapids. So I worked with the director of Love Gilda, the documentary.
Oh, yeah.
She got permission from Michael Radner, and they gave me some access to some pictures that were from their family's collection. And so now I project pictures.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Michael's wonderful.
I've never met him, but I've heard.
Oh, just a sweet man and funny, wicked funny. I'm sure there's so much humor in that family growing up. And so before things went to hell in a handbasket, how often were you performing that show? The
Gilda show, I usually perform it like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And I'm not very good at marketing myself. So it's mostly if somebody says, oh, you need to check with this room or people have heard about it. So then I go. So
have you done it in Palm Springs?
I have. I've done it a lot. I've done it at the Purple Room. I've done it at Desert Rose Playhouse. I've done it at PS Underground. So, and people come back, which is really nice. Nice. Sometimes people think, oh, I've seen it before, but people come back, which is nice.
And the Purple Room is owned by Michael Holmes, who's a Michigander, right?
Well, yeah, Chicago and Michigan, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I know that name. He did theater in Michigan, right? See, look at this. Michigan.
He used to sing with Mark Caney a lot, and he lived in South Haven.
Right. Yeah. We are running out of time, but I want to ask you real quick, just how, for anybody that, what about AJ's? My friend Mickey, who's got a place in Palm Springs, says.
I was at AJ's for 4 years. I was doing a jazz night with, it's a small world. I was doing weekly jazz night with my friend, great guitar player named Doug McDonald, and Bill Marks on the piano, who is Harpo Marx' son. And
we were just talking about Harpo Marx' son. Why were we talking about that?
I don't know. He's here in Palm Springs area. He is a beautiful piano jazz guy. He composes. He used to do all the music for his dad. He has wonderful stories. So I was always like, every Thursday, I'd go off to my gig with Doug and Bill Marks, and I'd like be looking at Bill going, holy crap, I'm performing with this man, and he's just the sweetest guy.
Oh my gosh, we were just talking about that, weren't we?
I feel like, well, I know I was watching, Alan Zweibel, who is was Gilda's dear friend before she passed, who wrote Bunny Bunny and produced Love Gilda, the documentary. I think he lived in Harpo Marx's son's house.
Oh, I might have heard that, because this is also why I love Palm Springs. I did a radio when I think I was getting ready to do Gilda's show at the Purple Room, and we had this wonderful morning show host named Bill Feingold. He actually passed away in March. He had the most fun morning show, and he just was crazy, but he loved entertainment. And I did this one thing with him, and we did like a Palm Springs version of American Idol, and I auditioned and I got on, and he was one of the judges, and he just said, I love what you're doing. I love how you sing. I hate your dress. And so the next round, Michael Holmes gave me this fur coat. So I wore my fur coat and I sang my song, and then I took my fur coat off and it was still the same dress. But anyway, I did this interview with Bill Feingold, and he's like, I've got a surprise for you. And I'm like, okay. So we get on the air, and he picks up the phone and he calls Alan Zweibel, who he had gone to college.
Oh my gosh.
And we start talking about it's just one of those weird, like, you can't ask for things like that. So Alan Zweibel went to school with Bill Feingold, who had lived here and was a radio guy.
That
so
is
fun.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Patrick put this up, and I'm not sure you saw it. Julie Lazari said, can't wait to see the Gilda show. Your weekly cabaret and cocktails is so
wonderful. Thanks, Julie. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well,
it really is. It really is. And I love just how people are trying to make best do with what we're going through. And that's how we created Fubble Time as well, was just all of a sudden we had been talking about forever doing this together. And it was like, oh, we don't have to be together. We can be in different states.
Yeah.
That is one of the beautiful things about it. Well, Francesca, your career is just so inspirational for people who want, I think especially, Mickey, I think especially for performers, it's like you said, I was born to sing, this is what I need to do. And I had to figure out how to do it. So I did this thing called Boogie Woogie Babies, and I did, and you made your career. And I think some of the most successful musical or artists are those that have a little sense of business mindedness, to go out there. And if the work isn't coming to me, I'm going to come to the work. I'm going to make the work.
I will tell you, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from Teresa, because Teresa directed me in a show at Jewish Theater called Beau Jest. Do you remember that?
I do. And you were fantastic.
Well, thank you. But I remember so clearly because it was just so me. I was doing something and Teresa just gently came over to me. She said, I love what you're doing on stage. I love your interpretation, but I need like 300% more from you. So from then on, I realized, okay, don't be so subtle about things. Like if you really want to go for something, you have to.
Oh, you do. You do.
So what I think of was enough. It was like, no, I need 300% more.
Yay.
And we have somebody here saying Rob Sturble.
Hi, Rob.
Here on my wife's Facebook account.
Oh.
Which I love. And Ken Parrish, who is a Grand Rapidian, also Lowell, right? Lowell and Grand Rapids. Is here saying great interview. So
thank you. I love Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids taught me everything I know about how to do theater, how to put shows together. I mean, if I'm successful at doing what I'm doing, it's because of the training I got, and not formal training at all. Well, I went to Actors Studio, but just the quality of work in Grand Rapids and the expectation and the production values of theater. And it's just unlike, I think, so many, I see shows that are supposed to be professional. We did that,
right.
It's amazing. So I credit Grand Rapids people and learning from the greats there.
Well, we're doing the documentary, and we're getting much further along now, and now putting all the interviews, and just a lot of people say the same thing: the professionalism of Grand Rapids, the way they learned in Grand Rapids, and we feel the same way. We're very grateful for our roots there, and we placed our little Christmas movie in Grand Rapids too.
No, I need to watch the whole thing.
It's been fun. It was a lot of work in a short amount of time, but we did it. And
bravo. And that's what you just have to decide, I want to do this, and then just figure it out.
Yeah.
Great.
Well,
Francesca,
thank you so much. All right.
We are going to, Michael Ziegler added a God bless people like Fred Cebulski. Yes, there are lots of folks who help bring us all forward in this.
Yeah.
So Francesca, it's just been a delight to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank
you, Jeannie. Love the conversation. We're so grateful that you're here with us each week. So we are going to thank Francesca. We'll close out in just a second.
Thanks, Francesca.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yay.
Oh my God.
40 minutes. 40 minutes.
I know. And just also how much we have to talk to her about, because I love how diverse her career is, which is fantastic. So people, check her out if you haven't. FrancescaAmari.com. It's still running along our fancy scroll. Yeah. And then next week we have another online content creator, right?
Yes, Darius Colquitt, also this person out of Grand Rapids. Surprisingly, all three out of Grand Rapids, but but they're all have national presence. So online, and Darius didn't find online because of the pandemic. He has been creating for the internet, and so it'll be fun to kind of chat with him about that, and then also how pandemic has kind of moved him even more online, and all the opportunities and things that he's finding. Jeannie, thank you. Yes, the time goes way too fast. I agree. So
and I love that Molly's here. Molly took my Artist Way class, and she's, you know what? She was one of the first people to take Artist Way on Zoom before people were doing Zoom. So nice. I love that, Molly.
She's a pioneer.
She is a pioneer. So as we always say,
we gotta get out of here.
Gotta go. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.